59mm carbon clinchers in disc brake and rim brake. Now we're creeping up to the big end of the scale here, and this is where the sprinters, crit racers, time trialists, tri-whackers like myself all start to play in. If you look at some of the Pro Tour teams on the fast flat days and the sprinters, etc., they'll all be up around this depth. One of my most popular combo sizes is a 59 front and an 81 rear for TT bike, or a pair of 81s, or even sometimes a pair of 59s. So it's a very versatile wheel, and at 1410 grams, you can ride it wherever you want. You could ride this as a climbing wheel. A lot of wheels around the 1410 mark are nowhere near this depth. So yeah, you've really still got a versatile level here, but as I said before, for the 49s, aero does outweigh weight. So if you're looking at going fast on the flat, or you're looking at time trialing, definitely the deeper wheels is going to provide you the best return. Like all my other clinchers, the braking is excellent. Again, don't say that lightly. You will find this as good, if not better, than your aluminium, even in the wet. Carbon braking used to be a major issue in the past, and I learned a long time ago that texture on the brake surface catches water, all the weaves. You only touch the tops of those little weaves, and then what happens, the water stays inside there for longer, a dozen rotations later, and the water still hasn't been sheeted off. Whereas this, the full pad flat contact pushes the water clean off, and you get total pad contact. With the weaves, you may lose 20, 30, even 40% of the grooves not touching the pad. So you're getting full pad contact, sheeting the water. With the high temp resin system in here, you are not going to cook the wheel. That's one of the most critical things. I know I'm the smallest guy in this factory, and I know where all my competitors are. I go check the factories. You know, I'm paying almost double where I was before, and for good reason. It's for this resin system and for this filament wound clincher hook. I mean, just look how clean and smooth that is in there. If you see a mold butt formed clincher hook, you'll see dirty big lines where the molds join and push in, and all you're relying to form this very complex shape is the bladder pushing out against it. In here you have a nylon hoop, a mandrel that sits inside, then carbon is wound around it. I'll show you this later in the video in a bit more detail so you can see it. But what you do is end up with this. The bladders are removed out of the spoke assembly hole. There's no big holes cut in here. So this is the serial number here, and you can see the discoloration change in it. Effectively, the curing temp is up towards 300 degrees C, so that nice white serial number there turns a beautiful brown color, and that's a good thing, because what that's showing is how high the resin is being cured at. You need to cure resin at about 15 degrees over the glass transition point you want to achieve, e.g. the not melt my wheel point, and these will not melt. The resin can handle it, and it's set to do that temperature, and that's how you get great braking and a durable wheel like this. So this is the rear disc brake hub for the 59mm clincher. The reason I'm showing you this in a bit of detail is because of the through axle. I get a lot of questions about through axles and what will fit my bike and what won't. Luckily, they have finally all on song for the sizing of the through axles, which is 12mm 142 rear by 12mm 100 front. That happened in about 2016, and all bikes since then have been that size. Before then, if you have anything like a 15mm front through axle with a 12mm rear, or skewers, still some of the older bikes have that. All the Caden range has adapters for all those sizings. These axles are locked because that's the lightest and most durable way to do this for the Decadence range, so they're only 12mm through axle. Caden range is awesome, there's no issue with that. It's just if you have a new bike, that's what will fit this. Now I'm going to pull up a diagram of the rim profile with exact measurements so you can see what's going on with the width, the internals, externals, depth. Okay, now we're going to do a live weighing of the wheels. The industry standard for weighing wheels is no rim tape, no skewers, no bullet balancers, no cassette caps, no rotors, no nothing, effectively just the wheel. So that's how we'll be showing you the exact weights, comparably with how everyone else does it. The only difference being, I'm doing this live here to highlight the difference between claimed weights and real weights. A lot of wheels I weigh are anywhere from 50 to 150 grams over their claimed weights. 59mm Decadence rim brake clinchers 1491.8 on the scales, minus 40 for the rim tape, and 15 for each of these. These get the bigger bullets. There's 4 different size bullets. They progress as the valve stems progress to balance the wheel effectively. So that gets down to 1420, which is what, 10 grams off the claim website weight. So yeah, as per all the others, we are bang on with our weights. We keep a record of these as well to make sure it's consistent and through the QC process. 59mm Decadence disc brake clinchers, 1520.5, minus 40 for the rim tape, 15 for each of these, so 70 in total. That gets us down to 1450 for a deep dish pair of disc brake wheels, which is pretty freaking awesome. 59mm Caden rim brake clinchers, 1669, so 1670 minus the 40 grams for the pair of these, so 1630. Now, as you can see, same brake track as the Decadence pair, same mold, same resin system, same carbon. The only difference is the nipple patching, so like 99% of wheels are the same thickness the whole way around, and like most wheels it's a 6066 aluminium hub instead of a 3D forged 7075 hub. No skimping on these, same spokes, same nipples, amazingly durable wheel, just a different option for you. Tyre sizes. I get asked a lot of questions on this. And the good thing about our wheels is you'll be able to get tyres on and off very easily. I do the inner and outer diameters myself when I was creating the molds to make sure you're not going to be breaking levers or holding the boys up while they're waiting for you to fix a puncture. I've been commented, or multiple clients have commented to me how great they are to get tyres on and off. These will fit any 700C tyre. So whether you've got 21mm, 23mm, 25, 28, 30, etc., etc., you can even fit a 29 mountain bike tyre on this wheel with no problem, because a 29 mountain bike tyre is the same inner diameter as a 700C road wheel. You're not going to do that. Just giving an example of how simple it is. Whatever tyre you want to use, go ahead and use it. Me personally, I run a 25mm rear and a 23mm front. The reason I do that is because a 25mm rear in most clinchers is actually a lot bigger. This is just a weeny bit over 28mm, and the front 23 is a weeny bit over 26mm. So that's more than enough tyre for me. I'm 95 kg and 2 meters tall, and that's what I'm running. I see some really big oversized tyres out there, and when you get to too big a tyre, it will bulge. This here is not bulging, so that's a very big tyre, and you'll see here how beautiful that sits within the profile. It's nice and aero, so what you've got on the leading edge, you've got the air flowing around seamlessly. There's no big bulge and lump, and the interface is clean. That's the critical factor in keeping a wheel aero, is matching it to the tyre. Then on the rear half of the wheel, you've got the wind flowing over here, not separating, not getting angry, and not bulging and flying off. I've said it many times before, if you looked out at your plane wing and there was a massive bulge hanging out the end of the plane wing, that thing ain't flying anywhere. Same as using a big 30mm or a 28mm tyre. If you're going to use them, yes, use it on your rear, but you don't need it on your front. The rear wheel's the one that cops all the beating. So best advantage all round, I think, is a 23 front, 25 rear, or if you've got really shitty roads or you're off-road, a 25, 28 or 25, 27 is still really cool. Okay, valve stem lengths and write this down please, because you'll need to know what valve stems to order. So the 25mm Clincher, get the smallest valve stem length available. I've seen 38s and 40s. If you can only find 48, that's fine. I mean, you can put an 80 on the thing, but it's not gonna balance to the bullet head, especially in the larger sizes. Each size should I say, as the valve gets longer, has a heavier bullet head to compensate it and to keep the flywheel effect of the wheel and stop death wobbles. So for the 38mm, you need a 48mm or 50mm valve stem length. They're the two sizes that are generally available for the 38mm Clincher. For the 49mm Clincher, you need a 60mm valve stem length. For the 59mm, you need an 80mm valve stem length. And for the 81mm, you need an 80mm or a 60mm valve stem length, and I'll send you two different extenders so you have a choice for a couple of different options. They're free. That's the only wheel extenders come from besides the tubbies. So the Clinchers, you don't need extenders, which is great. You want to avoid them if you can. but I've got a custom extender for the 81, which is really good. The other thing with my wheel is because it's a filament wound clincher hook, it's super smooth inside the clincher hook itself. There's nothing, no rough, coarse material like you get on a mold butt form rim where you get variation and, you know, voids and sharp pieces inside. A very large company at the moment is not allowing lightweight race tires with thin sidewalls because effectively, they haven't stated this, but this is why it's happening. The clincher hook is scissoring in to the light sidewall and then blowing out the sidewall after a few hundred Ks. You know, you can literally lick the inside of my my clincher hook. I've shown clients this because it's so smooth, and you won't have any scissoring of the sidewalls, so you can run beautiful lightweight race tires without having the fear of any failures on the side. I personally run just lightweight butyl tubes. If you want to run, you can run any tube you want, obviously. But you know, latex is good, but not much better than butyl, and it's expensive and it's a bit more fragile, and you need to keep pumping it up. So a nice set of, you know, light race tires with a lightweight butyl tube will just roll superbly. So these are the bullets that I hand weld. You can see they're all beautifully rounded on the back there, so there's no chance of any issues because they sit up under the rim tape. They have a little sticker on the back of them, then the rim tape as well. And so there's no chance of any issues with your tube or any problems on the back of them. That stops there. The reason I use bullets is they're the perfect size to fit in here and they're separate weights, and it's cool as hell to have bullets in your wheel making you go quicker. So that's the 38, that's the 49, that's the 59, that's the 81. And I got a little tickler pistol bullet head for the 81s, depending if they need a little bit more balance or not, just to keep them really special, because the 81s you want super balance for TT to keep that flywheel and speed effect going. Now, a lot of new drive systems, group sets, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe even 13 speed, etc. Are always changing, and we are on top of that and will always make drivers to fit every wheel. Caden or Decadence has every single driver type there is. I get asked this question a lot. You will not be superseded. We're not in the game of making things like a lot of other wheel companies have done in the past where you can't swap out to the new standard. That was from, say, 10 speed to 11 speed. You had to buy a whole new wheel. They didn't make a component to crossover. We will not be superseding for sales. We will be making sure that all current and existing models are available with any new drivers. Probably the newest one to come out will be the Shimano spline system. That will probably end up being a 12 speed. Touch wood, there's not too much talk of more 13 speed. We don't need an extra gear for marketing. We just hopefully will stick with this, but if there is 13, we'll do that as well. Now I hope you can see this. The reason I'm showing you this rim profile cut with some rim tape in it is because I worked really hard to avoid ghost punctures. Effectively, if rim tape is too narrow, it can slide in the rim, exposing one of the assembly holes, and then the tube can creep into it and explode internally. People will think they're getting punctures all the time. I had a guy come in just last week about this, and then I blew up one of the tubes that he'd just punctured on, and I saw that the puncture was on the inside of the tube, not the outside, and that let me know straight away he was getting an internal puncture from bad rim tape. So this does two things. The rim tape is nice and wide, it can't slop around in the rim and expose a hole. It also stops the tube from creeping under the tire bead. I meaningfully make my clincher hooks. I designed this whole hook system myself because I've seen lots of other wheels where the tire bead sits proud and high in here and there's a gap under it, and then the tube creeps under the tire. So when you hit a pothole, it pushes down on the tire and the tube's sitting underneath it. Hey presto, snake bite. With my tires, with my rim clincher hook, should I say, you can't get the tube underneath the tire bead. Tire bead sits snug up here, and then the rim tape, so it's a nice soft area for the tube to be sitting on. Avoid ghost punctures, avoid snake bites. As far as disc brakes go on road bikes, they've got very small, what I think is underpowered disc brake systems, and they can generate a lot of heat, especially for a big guy like me. So I'm developing my own disc brake rotor that has a floating system, not a fixed system like this. Currently all road bike rotors are fixed system. I was speaking with Glenn Alton, 3-time Superbike champ, and I used to do some motorbike racing as well, all their rotors have a floating system, so the expansion joint can happen in between here, 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 and here, and it keeps the rotors from getting heat warp and chatter and noise, etc., etc. So I'll have that coming out very soon, as well as some heat dissipating brake pads with larger cooling fins on them. So watch out, it'll be cool. All Caden wheels have a weight limit to at least 110 kg and are tested well above that by myself and machine testing. The reason for that is this beautiful filament wound clincher hook here, which holds the structure perfectly with no voids or air bubbles, and 100% bonding in one piece the whole way around the rim. The second part of that is the nipple patching. You can see how thick this bit is here. This is not one of my rims. I'm just showing this as an example so you can see it. Very thin nipple bed here. It's almost as thin as mine where it is in between the spans, let alone where this beautiful chunky bit where it needs to be, the nipple going through the rim. Also zero voids. Hopefully you can see this on the focus here, but there's voids around here and in here. This is where you don't want them, right on the braking surface, which is where all the heat happens, and you will get delamination failure on that point, which you will not get with the Cadens. All the UCI test is an impact test from a certain height, going around the wheel, hitting it in multiple points. Once you've achieved that, you pass the UCI test. We keep going times 10, 15 before we have any yielding, let alone a small crack, no structural catastrophic failures. If you fail the test, if a piece falls out of the wheel effectively, or you have a crack, a massive crack in the wheel, we've never done that, so passing all the tests. And yeah, there's no loss in getting a Caden wheel comparably to a Decadence. It's just the cost of manufacturing difference in between the two is 150 for each wheel, or 100 if you're in the US, or 100 if you are in Euro. So how do Caden compare? Well, I've got a couple of competitors around my range. You've probably had a good look at them if you're online. And the easiest way to answer that question is to just check the specs for yourself. Almost every time they'll be narrower, a lot heavier. One of my main competitors generally is about 200 plus grams heavier than my wheels. They won't have nipple patching, they won't have the bullet balancers, they won't have 3D Forge 7075 hubs, and they won't have the lemon next to the pie, and that is we do pay for import duty into countries. So we do delivery duty paid, because usually if you order a set of wheels and they arrive, you can pay anywhere from sort of $200, $300, $400 on top of it to get it cleared by customs. So when you look at the type of wheels we're making, I mean, this thing is an absolute weapon, just about to be released, and the TT disc as well. The tubular version of the TT disc is 810 grams. The tubeless version of the TT disc is only 860 grams, and these are weighing in at about 850 for the tubeless version and about 700 for the tubular. So yeah, I don't see companies in my price range making wheels like this. We are an end-to-end wheel company with top-end race products that are affordable, service, 3-year warranty. I think the choice is pretty easy, guys.